Wow. These next two episodes of The Oval are gag worthy. Let's talk. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. And also follow all of the information I have in the description box. Now, this is The Oval, Season 1, Episodes 2 and 3. Episodes 2 is called Unforgettable, and Episode 3 is called Heat. Both of these episodes was crazy as shit, and I'm gonna try not to make this long, so let's begin. The episode picks up where it left off, where Nancy is trying to protect Callie from Ruth and the rest of her cronies from the cult. They overpower Nancy and end up taking Callie away from her. And I was like, damn, see, your ass should have listened to your son when he told you he didn't want Ruth around his daughter. You should have just honored that. But, Gail decided to take matters in her own hands, and look what happened. So, then back at the, back at the White House, remember from the last episode, Gail had told, had screamed that Barry had raped her. So Sam, who's the head of who's one of the heads of the Secret Service, he gets involved and pretty much says that, this is a serious accusation, so we're gonna have to, question him. So they take Barry to the command room where he's waiting to be questioned. Richard is going off because he's like, first of all, Sam, you know my son. He's been coming here ever since he was a kid. You know he wouldn't do something like this. He's like, yeah, I know, but we have jobs to do and we got to follow protocol. And it's just a crazy situation. So later on, I think it's Sam who lets the chief of staff, Donald, know about the situation. So Donald himself decides to go to question, Barry, about whether he raped Gail or not. Well, actually, wait a minute. Before he did that, he said that, him and Sam had talked, and he let it be known that, okay, well, we're gonna have to let the president know about this. So Donald goes to the room, and there was a situation going on between Victoria and Hunter. She's going through his phone and she, calls the mistress. The mistress like, shouldn't you be in bed? And she's like, no, little bitch. And she immediately hangs up the phone. So Victoria decides to leave a message for the mistress and was like, oh yes, I remember you. I remembered you around the time when we got married, around the time we had our second child, and when he was at the governor's mansion. You ain't no different than the rest of them, young, stupid, and foolish. And all of a sudden, Hunter went away, and that's when she went on his phone, and he came back like, what the hell you think you're doing? She was like, you shouldn't have a phone. You shouldn't have a smartphone. You're the president now. And he was like, I'll have whatever the hell I want. And he was like, you know what? I'm getting sick of your shit. First of all, I'm the Ivy League bitch that got you in here. I'm the one who decided to marry the dumb American farm boy. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. And she was like, I should be president. And he was like, girl, please, ain't nobody gonna vote for you. And besides, let me let you know what they think about your ass. He blows up the phone like, oh yeah, this is my favorite one, Beauty and the Bitch. I was like, oh shit. She got in her feelings too. She was like, and he was saying that this is what's gonna happen. I will keep my phone, and I will do everything I can to prevent myself from murdering you. And she's like, honey, that's my job. I'm gonna kill you one day. I'm like, these two are a fucking mess. Finally, Donald comes in and says he has information for the president, and she's like, "What's going on?" And and sh and he was like, "Well, this is a private matter." She's like, "Oh no, I can hear this." And Hunter says, "Go ahead." And she ain't gonna let up. So you might as well just say what's going on. He says, "It's about your daughter." She says that she's been raped. And immediately Hunter, being a father, is like, "Oh no, hell no! I want to go talk to her. And whoever this person that did this needs to be prosecuted." And Donald lets them know, yeah, she says she's been raped, but she doesn't want to take a rape kit. Victoria's like, "Oh, I'll go talk to her." And Hunter's like, "Why you?" She says, "Are you gonna talk to your daughter about a rape kit?" Yeah, it's kind of like the female lane, so I'll handle this. She goes up in there to go talk to Gail. Her and Gail go back and forth. And she is not here for Gail's bullshit. She was saying that because the woman was standing outside, one of the Secret Service, she was outside with a rape kit, and she says, "These woman is here for the rape kit." She's like, "I am not. She is not touching me. Nobody is touching me." And she's like, "Gail, you've been raped, sweetheart. And if we want to prosecute someone, they need proof that you were raped. So you need to let her you need to let her do her job, and you need to, let us do this rape kit." And she's like, "Oh no, ain't nobody touching me." She's like, "If I gotta get her to get 3 strong men to prowl your legs open so we can get this rape kit, that's exactly what we're gonna do." And she's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, why not? You were raped, sweetheart, weren't you? Tell me the truth." And she's like, "I did. He raped me." She's like, "You want me to slap the shit out of you? Tell me the truth." And she finally confessed that Barry didn't rape her. So once she comes out, she lets Donald know, "Look, nothing happened. Okay, my daughter's a liar. And, just let this, nothing happen." And but then, like, Donald, in a way, is kind of like, "Well, this is a serious accusation." She's like, "Are you questioning me? I'm letting you know my daughter's a liar. Uh, you know, and they also knew that Gail's ass was drunk when they first got there, too. So she ain't here for the bullshit." So we see that Donald actually talks to Barry. Barry tells what happened, and he kind of leaves him in the command room, but then he goes and tells Richard, "We're going to let him go, but if he says anything, he will be prosecuted." So in this scene, we saw how much of a real shrewd motherfucker that Donald is, because he literally just talked down to Richard and was like, "I will ruin we will literally ruin him if he says anything. So he better not mention anything about this or he will get prosecuted." But he's like, "My son didn't do anything." He's like, "Regardless of the fact, this is a high powered family and we will do anything to protect it." And then when Richard was walking away, he was like, "Richard, you can thank me now if you want." I'm like, "Really, Donald? You know that this child is innocent and all of this shit, but all you care about is protecting that presidency because that's your bread and butter, and you'll go through hell and high water to protect that image. Piece of shit." But, so he goes and gets Barry and they go home or whatever. Um, but in the car, they go back and forth, and he's trying to tell Barry, "You can't say anything." But Barry is so emotional and so over the top. He's like, "What do you mean I say nothing? What? They just gonna they like what do you mean? I can't like." And he's telling him like, "Look, you need to let this go, and you should not mention this to anyone." And he's literally trying to calm Barry the fuck down. He's like, "She lied on me. She lied on me. What do you mean I can't say anything?" Exactly like he said. Shut the fuck up, Barry. But, but then again, I understand. Like, first of all, somebody accused you of rape. You ain't just gonna walk away and, like, not say nothing. But then again, he's kind of letting them know you dealing with high powered people here. They could ruin you as well as me. Like, so don't say nothing. Just, we sweeping this under the rug. The shit never happened, and it is what it is. And then we also so pretty much that ended up happening. So all of a sudden when they get home, Barry and Richard, they go from one extreme to another one because they find out about Barry's daughter being taken, and immediately he starts going in on Sharon, saying that Sharon, so that's what it is because you mad that she has a different mother. You just allowed this to happen. I should have never trusted my daughter with you. And then Nancy was like, I did it. I was the one that invited her over here, because I wanted her to see her daughter, and she just took her. And of course, Barry is so mad and shit that he just runs out and gets in his car and he drives off. So that's what happened with that. Now let's see. Oh yeah, and we also saw in the second episode that damn son, Jason, something up with him because he obviously got some sexual issues, because here it was at the inaugural ball, he tried to grab a girl's ass and the damn Secret Service pushed him immediately. I'm like, this motherfucker got issues, and we're gonna find out more. Yeah, so we definitely saw that go down. So now I'm gonna talk about this whole situation with Bobby and Lilly. While they getting it in up in Charlotte, Donald calls and they talk on the phone, and immediately she's guilt ridden because she's screwing another man. And Donald calls and he apologizes to her that he was just so upset that she wasn't there. But I'm sorry that I was acting this way. It's just I really wanted you to be here, but I understand, your career is important to you, and I was wrong to come off at you the way she did. But she really believes her husband is this great man and that he's a very good man. But I'm like, there's something up with Donald. And we kind of saw it in this episode too. Him and that Secret Service guy, every time this guy would try to inject himself, he would immediately get defensive. No, he's walking me home. I don't need you. And I'm like, what the hell's going on there? And we find out more in episode 3. So hold on, I'm gonna get to that. But after she gets off the phone with Donald while she's in the bathroom with Bobby, you know, she pretty much immediately kind of flips the script and was like, I should have never did this. He's a good man. And he was like, oh, don't go there with the guilt trip. And she's like, so what? You do this all the time? You always screw around on your wife? Like, seriously? And then all of a sudden she was like, you know what? You need to leave. You should just get out. And he was like, seriously? You know, everything was good and now you being mean? And she's like, I'm not being mean, but you need to leave. I don't know what the hell came over me. He was like, I don't know what came over you, but I know I came in you. And I was like, oh shit. And he just starts being really cruel to her. And he was like, shoot, the way you ripped off my buttons and shit, you shoot. I knew you was loving what I was doing to you. And she's like, oh my God, you're disgusting. Like, so you do this often. He was like, uh-huh. And then he took her purse and started going through her shit. She's like, what the hell? You gonna rob me now? He's like, nah, I'm just making this uncomfortable for you. I want to make sure this is a moment you'll never forget. And she's like, oh, believe me, I won't. And he's like, you have no idea how much you won't. And she's like, what the hell does that mean? Next thing you know, we see about it. So while even on the plane, he's sending her notes saying, "Let's go into the bathroom," for the high ride. And she's like, she asks the one of the stewardess, can she get another seat? And she said, like, look, the flight's all booked up. And she's like, well, does anybody want to have a seat in first class? Like, she's trying to get away from him, and he was like, girl, you ripped off my buttons. But it's okay. I'll get another one. You was just so good. And he's just really fucking with her, even on the ride home. So on the plane ride home, she's uncomfortable as hell because she's sitting right next to the man. But I'm like, see, that's what happens when you give it up too quick. You never know who the hell you giving your goodies to. And we just see that, yeah, Bobby was fine as all hell, but Bobby's sinister as shit. Because the next thing you know, Lilly goes home, that motherfucker's in her house. And she's telling him to get the hell out and all of this shit. And he proceeds to go upstairs, gets on the bed, and was like, you guys living well. And she's like, why are you doing this? He's like, because I want you. And she's like, what do you want? He's like, do you want money? He's like, I got my own money. And she's like, look, you need to get the hell out of here. And she goes into the bedroom stand, and pulls out the gun and points it at him. She's like, you need to get the hell out of my house. He's like, I thought you were calling the police. And she's like, yeah, and I have a good reason. And she's like, and believe me, I know how to use it. You came into my house and you shot me. And he was like, well, what about all the surveillance at the airport? Yeah, because they did have surveillance of them sitting down at the same table talking to each other. So she's pretty much telling him, you need to leave and you need to get out. She got the gun on him. And as soon as Donald comes in, she puts 2 or 3 of them in him. And I was like, damn, Lilly. Shot his ass right the fuck up. So that's what went on in episode 2. Now, episode 3, Heat, it picks up from there. Bobby's shot and he's saying, you shot me. I think I'm gonna die. I'm like, Bobby, shut the fuck up. Because first of all, bruh, when you enter in somebody's house unannounced, you deserve whatever the hell happens. Whether you come out in a body bag or not. Because you had no business being in her damn house. I mean, yeah, the stuff may have been good, but what the hell you doing in her house? So I'm like, he was doing too damn much. And she shot your ass, so you got what you deserved. And he's pretty much calling out, and then, like, Donald takes over and he's like, did he hurt you? And she was like, no. He said, so why is your dress ripped? Damn good question, Donald. But she doesn't say anything, and he's telling her, look, just, I got this, just go downstairs. So he gets her out the room, and, Bobby is, like, talking like, look, I need help. And he's like, you don't get no damn sympathy from me. You came in here and assaulted my wife and all of that. He got the gun on him, and he doesn't call the police because, calling the police will be in the press. So he calls the SS and he says that, look, I need a few of you guys over here. I got a situation, and don't send Kyle. So I'm guessing Kyle was that other SS that was trying to inject himself and Donald was pushing him away. But sure enough, Kyle shows up any damn way. And he's like, I told them not to send you. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, Donald? What's really going on? So he pretty much says that, look, this guy was in the house. My wife, he startled my wife and she shot him. So they pretty much take him out of there and everything. And I'm like, wow. So I'm like, but then we see throughout this episode, Lily shaking up because she asks him, what did he say to you when I left? She's like, he didn't say anything. And he kind of comforts his wife and everything. And I'm like, her ass scared that Bobby going to spill the tea that she gave him, that she kind of like, gave up her cookie up in that hotel bath and airport bathroom and shit. Oh, hell, I say hotel. He ain't shit. Her ass was so hot and bothered, they didn't even need a hotel. They just needed a bathroom stall. Shit. Anyway, so then also in this episode, we finally meet the president's mistress. And she's gorgeous. And also, I think her and Ruth are twins. Because, identical twins. So she comes up in there, they get it in, like, in the Oval. Like, he is tearing her up. And all of that. Then we see later on that Victoria, I think kind of saw her come in. So, and obviously they have a history. So, as she mentioned in episode 2, that she saw him, she knew of her, once they got married, after she had Jason, and even when they was in the governor's mansion. So he's been messing with this mistress for years. Victoria goes to the Oval Office. The SS guy won't let her in. She goes so mad that she starts throwing shit and starts trying to fight him. And it gets to the point that he kind of pushes her and she hurts herself. And she's like, you hurt me. He's like, I didn't do it intentionally, ma'am. I'm just trying to defend myself because you crazy as shit. And she begins to go off. She's like, all these years and he continues to do the same shit. And all I did was protect him. We all protect him. That stupid, dumb country. Fuck. Oh. And I was like, ooh. I'm like, see, there's a whole bunch of shit going on with that first family. Mm. And I take it they're Republicans, but he's a Republican president with a black wife. So they literally are scandalous just with that alone. But he ends up helping her up. And, so, because, before that, she had got into it with Gail. And Gail said that, because like Gail was in the kitchen looking for something to eat. She was like, well, if you keep eating like that, you'll have stretch marks by the time you're 30. And she's like, dang, don't you ever sleep? And Victoria was like, yes, honey. That's why I look so young and beautiful. Unlike you with those 50-year-old bags under your eyes. And they really, like, mother and daughter hate each other. Like, she hates her daughter and her daughter hates her. And then she's the one that kind of put the bug in her ear. Oh, I think someone has come to the Oval Office to meet Dad. Probably somebody you know. Maybe you need to go check that out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bye-bye. I'm like, oh my God, that little bitch is a mess. Oh. So we pretty much see all that go down. Then we've come to find out what the hell happened with Barry. Barry goes to this guy Picky, who's his cousin. And remember, Picky was mentioned in episode 1, so that's the same guy that's messing with Gail. And here it is, Gail done accused Barry of rape, and the two of them are cousins. So I'm like, Gail's a messy bitch. But Barry confronts his cousin, and he's saying that he wants to know where his daughter is and all that. And immediately the rest of the goons ready to fuck Barry up because Barry ain't about that life. Barry's a square, but he's literally there over the top, saying, I need to find my daughter. They got my daughter. Where those people at? And we come to find out the name of the cult that Ruth is a part of is called the Ragadushis. Kind of sounds like a generic form of tampons. If you want to prevent 80% of leakage, go to your nearest store and get you a pack of Ragadushis. I was like, oh my God, that name. But Picky literally lets him know, you don't want to fuck with the Rakadushis, bro. These people are killers, B, and you ain't about that life. He's like, yo, I'm ready to go get my daughter. Where they at? And Picky is trying to let Barry know, like, look, you're not about that life. You a good dude. You don't want to get involved with them. These dudes are killers. And he was like, well, let me hold some heat. And he was like, hell no, I'm letting you hold no heat, bruh. And the dudes, the other goons are laughing. Barry gets in his feelings and hits one of the guys and takes his gun. And he was like, look, that damn gun got heat on it, so you need to be careful with that shit. But then Barry runs off, and he gives Barry a fake address to go to because he knows if he sends them to the Ragadushis, they gonna kill his ass. But Barry's so full of his damn self and so emotionally he's like emotionally charged that he ain't listening to shit. And I'm like, Barry, you hard-headed motherfucker. Because even when he was talking to his father about that whole situation with Gail, he was just over the top. What do you mean? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything. He's like, we know you ain't do shit, but in order for you not to be a part of a scandal, shut the fuck up. Damn. So we see all that go down. And then we come to find out also in this episode that, yeah, Picky is the guy that Gail was seeing before they got to the White House. And he's pretty much telling her that, look, you need to stop calling me. I ain't coming up to no White House. I ain't doing it. She's like, I can get you through. It's nothing. I miss you. And I know you love me. And all of that. And he's like, and he was saying that, nah, I ain't coming to the White House. And besides, my uncle works there. And she's like, who's your uncle? He's like, he's the head butler. And he can't stand my ass. And she was like, so what's his name? He's like, his name is Richard, and his mom, he's married to my mom's sister, and all this shit. So yeah, Richard's his uncle. And we come to find out a little bit about Richard later on. I'm about to get to that. So then he asks, "Where you calling from?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just calling you from the kitchen phone." He straight hung up on her ass. I'm like, bruh, he got a rap sheet and shit. Like, he is not trying to get caught up in no White House shit with your crazy ass. But Gail is so damn stupid. She don't give a damn. She want her man and she want her man. That's all there is. But then we come to later on find out, um, you know, Picky finally, talks to Uncle Richard. And of course you can tell, yeah, Richard don't fuck with Picky because Ricky's in the streets. But because Picky's in the streets, but then he calls him Preach. And I'm like, ooh, so that's why you don't fuck with Picky. You used to be one of those niggas out in the streets, because he called him Preach, like that was his street name. He's like, look, Preach, you need to get your son, because he came over here talking about he wanted to go after the Rackadushis for taking Callie, and he got a gun, so you need to find him. And he told him, I sent him to this address, it's the wrong address, you need to find him and you need to handle that. Then we see that back at the house with Lilly and Donald, Lily's having nightmares and shit, and he's pretty much, Donald's comforting her and everything, and she keeps asking about Bobby, is he okay or whatever. And he was like, well, what is it, honey? Like, why are you so worried about this guy that came into this house? But he says, but this, it shows that you're very compassionate. You're going to be a great mother one day. And she was like, well, we had to have sex for that to happen. I'm like, oh, so that's why you were so gullible to give up your coochie up in the airport bathroom and shit. But then again, I'm beginning to think, what happened if Lily turns up pregnant? And the only person that could have gotten her pregnant was Bobby's ass. That will be some crazy shit. But we know that her and Donald ain't having sex. And I'm like, what's going on with you, Donald, that you ain't having sex with your wife? Because maybe if you was tapping that ass, she wouldn't have been so quick and gullible to give it up to Bobby. Because Bobby stirred her grits and she was ready, honey. Ready with the quickness. So I kind of peeped that. I'm like, it would be crazy if Lily turns up pregnant. Now, after that, we see that they got Bobby in some room. He's there with SS, and they're literally taking out the bullets with no anesthesia. Bobby is screaming like shit. And we see that Kyle is there with this other SS guy, Jerry. And they pretty much going back and forth. And he's saying that, if he ends up talking, let me know what he says. I'm gonna go look after the chief of staff or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with Kyle that he wants to be around Donald so bad? And like they go back and forth or whatever, and we come to find out that Bobby is actually a ranger. And he's got military tats, so he's special ops. And I'm like, yo, this shit can't get even more crazier. And we see that Kyle takes it upon himself that I'm gonna go on the post to look at the chief of staff, but you let me know if he says anything, if anything comes up. And then like Jerry was like, so why you want to go over there so badly? What, you trying to get a piece of, you trying to you can't stop looking at his wife's ass? And he was like, don't be disrespectful. And I'm like, And then when he left, Jerry called him an asshole, and I'm like, yeah, Cal an asshole, all right, but I don't think it's Lily's ass that Cal wants. So then we see that Lily, after being shaken up or whatever, after talking with Donald, she decides to go downstairs or whatever because she can't sleep, and she runs into Kyle. And she's asking about where did you guys take Bobby? Where do you guys take the guy that came in here? And Kyle tells her, oh, we took him someplace top secret. You have nothing to worry about. But then he starts asking her, but eventually he's going to start talking. Um, I'm kind of putting together the whole situation and nothing's adding up. Is there something you want me to know? that will contradict anything he might say. And she's like, are you questioning me? Are you serious? She was like, no, no. He's like, I'm just saying that this situation doesn't add up. Something's not right. I'm like, yeah, and something ain't right with your ass either, Kyle. So then, uh, later on, um, back at the house, you know, Gail runs in, gets, meets up with Priscilla, who's the head chef, and Gail is just nasty and disrespectful and all kind of shit. She pretty much says that I want some breakfast, you know, and like she's just being real nasty and real rude, calling her a bitch and talking about some, yeah, won't you make me something to eat? And I hope it doesn't make me a fat ass like you and all this shit. And you just see Priscilla's face that she wants to fuck Gail up. And it got to the point where she tells Jean, and Jean, the maid, is her niece. She tells her, make her some breakfast because I'm about to poison that little bitch. I'm like, I don't blame you, Priscilla, because Gail be doing too damn much. Um, and then then we see that that Max, who was the SS that Victoria was fighting outside of the Oval Office. We see that him and the president, have a meet up after they send the old girl home. The mistress. The mistress is named Denise, and we come to find out that Denise has a twin sister who's Ruth, and and pretty much she said that, look, your wife tried to attack me. And he was like, well, why didn't you just let her give you a blowjob? And he was like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, why don't you just let her give you a blowjob? It would completely take her off my shoulders. She's always doing the most, but hey, I love her and I gotta get her back up here because she does things to me that nobody has ever done to me. And I'm just like, oh, the damn president's a mess. He a horny motherfucker doing the most. Um, so we pretty much saw that go on. And once he comes back into the room with Victoria, they kind of go back and forth with each other. His ass gets into the shower and immediately starts hollering because she done put the glass that she broke. She put that glass in the damn shower, so she cut his feet up and shit. I'm like, Victoria is evil as hell. Oh my goodness, I can't. So finally, um, so then we actually see that Jean, the maid, has a run-in with the president's son, Jason. And pretty much Jason is really giving me like serious rapist tease because he's asking like, he wants to know where the other maids live at. He's like, I want to see where you live. And she lets him know that she's the niece of the head chef and everything. But that whole scene was just creepy as shit. Like, it's just something that um it's just something that's just it's just something that is not sitting well with any of us. Like, we just had this eye on Jason. Like, Jason got some sick shit with him, and we just got to keep paying attention to see what he does next. So then we see that Sharon and Nancy have a moment because he's blowing off at Nancy because Barry went off on Sharon and shit, and she feels some kind of way. Which I don't blame her because she's innocent. She was at work when the baby was taken, and Sharon would not have let Ruth see him at all. But then we see that Sharon is really emotional. The fact that Barry said that shit to her, and it was cruel. And Nancy pretty much says that, I feel really bad about this. He should not have said that to you. And the only reason why we let her in is because we've had there's been a long history with Ruth. Ruth really grew up in a really bad household, and she never wanted to go home, when her and Barry grew up together. And she said that it was always, she never wanted to go home, and found out that her father was a very sick man and he used to do things to her and her sister. And I'm like, interesting. So we understand why Nancy did what she did, because she had a history with Ruth and she had some compassion for her, but her compassion bit her in the ass, because Ruth showed how vengeful and ruthless she could be. So then we get the scene where Richard finally meets up with Barry. He's trying to let him know you cannot go after these people because these people are killers and you're a good guy and you just need to let the right people handle it, because they did call the police, but the police said that straight up, yeah, we know about the Ragadushis, but you're gonna have to go in front of a judge to get this, because they've taken a lot of children, and all of the children, you know, they were brought there by their parents, and their parents had legal rights. But Barry has full custody of Callie. Um, but, in order to prove that, they would have to go through the courts. So even the local police can't even do anything. And they said they've had many accusations with the Rakadushis taking people's kids. So Richard is trying to humor Barry that he needs to calm down, and he's saying that, look, you need to give me the gun. You don't know, like, you don't know how to handle a gun. You ain't about that life. Picky done told me what's going on. You need to give me the gun. And they start wrestling for the gun, and I'm like, Barry, you fucking idiot. Give your father the gun, dummy. And next thing you know, they fighting over the damn gun, and the damn gun goes off. And I'm like, see, Barry gets on my nerves already. Barry's already on my nerves because Barry's a hothead. He don't fucking listen, and he's flight forward, and he makes moves without fucking thinking. I'm like, I understand you want to find your daughter, but you don't literally know anything of as to how to go about it. People telling you that your cousin trying to let you know that these Rakadushi motherfuckers are killers. You ain't about that life. So if anything, the cousin was trying to tell him, I can find out some shit for you, but you need to chill. But Barry decided to take matters in his own hands with one gun. And I'm like, this is a cult. These they have militias who can kill and pretty much intimidate their followers. So I'm like, dude, you going at this shit, you going against a cult by your fucking self. And he just flight forward and shit, and then him and his father tussling over a gun, and he said that the gun has heat. So if anybody gets hurt with that gun, they can trace that gun, and Barry just put himself into some more shit. Fucking idiot. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So until next time, everybody, take care.